Welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm your host, Darrin Joins, and today we have a couple of special guests, both from Grassland Middle School, the WMAA basketball champions from the girls' side, Coach Paul Breece, from the boys' team, Coach Kyle Peterson. Gentlemen, thank you for showing up today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Darrin.
So let's recap a little bit. The WMAA championship was obviously televised. It's a kind of an annual thing that happens on WCTV. We appreciate the work of the crew there, WCTV, for having that game on. It was a middle school championship game again with basketball. It was played at Thompson Station last week. Grassland comes out on top over Brentwood Middle School in the girls' game, 30-18. And then on the boys' side, the Generals come out on top of Sunset, the Sabres, 48-32. Coach Breece, I'll start with you. This is now back-to-back championships for Grassland on the girls' side.
Yeah, very, very excited. Very exciting. Good times. I would say that there was always in question. Obviously, with girls basketball in middle school, you never know. But I felt like we had a good team coming in this year and had some key players in the right spots for us coming back. So it was just exciting and obviously with the more schools than in Williamson County than when I started this whole thing, it's definitely been a lot tougher to win a championship. So to do it back to back is definitely pretty good.
Coach, let's talk about some of those familiar faces. You had some folks that were big-time contributors last year, specifically Ella Ryan, your leading scorer, Mia Hassan, Ella DeYoung, big pieces for your team, not only this year, but last year as well.
Right. I felt like those three were in the backcourt were pretty. We were pretty set. We had to replace a Dylan Garner who had quality minutes at Franklin High School this year as a freshman. That was the big question mark. Who could we get to, replace her down there? And obviously, the bus test, right? Getting off the bus as a coaching thing is we did not intimidate anybody getting off the bus in the front court play, but those girls got better. Breon Fisher, Sienna Elder, they got tremendously better as the season went on. And I would say, if it wasn't for their improved play, that we may not have, been in the spot that we were in the championship. So tremendous props to them.
Coach Peterson, another championship for your team. I believe that's now 2 of the past 3 that you've come out on top with the WMAA championship.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to have that opportunity and real good players. I just try to point them in the right direction. And I sit in on Coach Breece's practices and learn from him and just have a lot of fun. No, it's, a big part of that is just having kids that are passionate about basketball and trying to stay out of their way.
And Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach Breece, I believe, sat on the bench with you at some different times here in the past, right? I don't know if that happened this year, but.
It did. Yeah. When he didn't have, all his other duties as athletic director as well, he wears all those different hats. But no, I really value Coach Breece's insight because I'm usually, I'm either distracted or don't see something that's readily obvious. And Coach is like, you may want to put in this guy. He might be able to get him. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Okay. And then goes that player and bam, immediately has some good success.
Coach Peterson, something that I've appreciated about you, obviously firsthand experience with my time coaching at Franklin High School, you take a lot of pride in that success from Grassland transitioning to the high school. I can speak firsthand about that. I know Coach Tiger's been pleased with that as well. Talk about that pride of they played at Grassland, now they're transitioning to Franklin High School and being a part of that program.
Well, when you were the head coach there, that kind of started it. You were receptive to me participating, at the high school level, coming over and watching your practices. And I just felt a connection. It started there. And then Coach Tiger had that same, mindset That probably wouldn't exist if there was a different attitude from the high school coach. But since you two guys kind of extended that to me, I'm like, I just felt like it's just part of the continuum, right? Because we kind of try to get them going in the right direction, and you guys refine it and get smarter about it and have more specifics and more fine tuning. And it just, I want Franklin High School to win a state championship. I really do. That's my goal, is for the players to, come in with a certain skill set that all you have to do is like do a few things as opposed to recreate the wheel.
Well, at the time of this taping, I think they're still in play. They're in the final 16. They're up to, I believe, 25 straight wins. So well on their way to having a chance there. Let's talk some season recap here. We'll start with Coach Breece and the girls. You end the season 18-2, 9-1 during the season, WMAA. Only loss was to Mill Creek inside the league. Coach, and Coach Breece, Coach Peterson mentioned this as well. You're also the school's athletic director. Did you think you would get through 20 games this year? When we met, early in the summer, and really dates back to last spring, could you have envisioned a 20-game season or a season at all?
I'll be honest with you, Coach Jordan, that no would be the correct answer. There were times that I was like, what is going on? We got obviously the snow out week, and then we were also had a quarantine week off. So there were times where I never saw my players for at least 7 to 8, 10 days. And those girls are very resilient, just come back together, see you at the game, and we'll play, and we'll just, proceed on. But yeah, tremendous job just to get us through the season. We're very fortunate because, as we ended this last year is when it all kind of fell apart. So, it was just great to, and obviously the cheerleaders coming back and the expanded capacity also helped. So it was kudos to you guys for allowing us to get through this.
Well, the heavy lifting's done there at the school, and certainly from the central office level. I'm glad that we work at a place that values extracurriculars and knowing that these young men and young women need to get out there and participate. So I know we're all thankful to work in a district where the parents support that, the community supports it, and the leadership at the school and at the central office level obviously support that as well. Coach Breece, another competitive league. You had 2 overtime games with Brentwood during the season. Obviously that lost to Mill Creek. Something I've talked to Coach Wild a lot, who's now, was at Franklin, now he's at Summit and been all over the place in terms of the state of Tennessee, and had a perception about girls basketball here in this county. But the level of girls basketball in Williamson County over the last 5 to 10 years has really improved.
Yeah, 100%. I think the average players have gotten really, really good. And, there's a focus of concentration in the middle school level. You just have to find those girls committed to continue that in high school. And that's been kind of the fight. But there is a tremendous group, as I probably talked to you about, if we could have an all-star Williamson County girls team, and I think hands down we would be winning a state championship. But, because we're kind of sparsed out to so many high schools, it's unfortunate that we can't do that, because I coached Kate O'Neill, and we lost in the championship when Amelia Osgood was in 8th grade. And so it's just fun to watch those kids as they've progressed to Kate being a 1,000-point scorer, and just seeing what Amelia has done, and just all the different kids that have come through the past 5 years.
Coach Peterson, let's talk about the boys' side a little bit. Like the girls, you were the number 1 seed heading to the tournament. You end up 18-4 on the season, only loss inside the league coming to Freedom. But again, a very competitive WMAA boys basketball league this year.
Yeah, it was. And I agree with Coach Breece. We were just happy to be able to participate. And, we had some issues too when it came to contact tracing and the COVID, but had a period of time where we didn't see the kids for a while, but they're a resilient bunch. And I saw some video of some of these kids when they were like in third grade. So they kind of know each other. 3 or 4 of them had played together over the years and are very familiar with each other in terms of their abilities and where they are on the court. So that was very helpful. And we just, we weren't overpowering, but we just played well as a group. And I think that's the main thing that distinguished the Grassland folk kids from some of the other teams.
Coach, this always embarrasses you when I bring this up, but I want to bring it up to our audience. They probably don't know this. Little known fact now, Coach Peterson played for Coach Krzyzewski at Army and then Coach Gene Cady at Purdue. So, Coach, it's no wonder you should know a little bit about basketball playing for both of those guys.
Yeah, I like to say that it drove Krzyzewski so nuts that he left and went to Duke. He's like, I can't deal with this. I can go find a better pastures. But yeah, it gets beat into your head for a while. Some of it sinks in, but I've forgotten so much, and things are different too. I mean, it's back then it was kind of this, the Bobby Knight motion, down pick away, and all that stuff. And now it's read and react and dribble drive. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no clue what's going on. And we try to put those systems in place that the kids are more familiar with. But some of the things hold pretty consistent over the years, and effort on rebounding and certain concepts of defense that I retain, and thankfully those were consistent as well.
Coach Breece, let's talk a little bit about your individual players. You mentioned some earlier, your 3 that were returning that played a lot, all-county performers, all 3, and then also Breon Fisher, who was an all-county player. Talk about these young ladies and what they've meant to the program.
Well, obviously, I call them the 2 Ellas, Ella Ryan and Ella DeYoung, had a strong background of basketball, before they even stepped into the Grassland Middle School. And, it just makes my job a lot easier. And then you had, for example, Ella Ryan only scored 7 points in the championship game. But it was due to the fact that, at the beginning of the year, Coach, she was having to try to score 25 to 30 a game, which she could do. But as the season progressed, it became more of a trust issue with these role players like a Breon Fisher, a Cian Elder, Mia Hassan. Mia Hassan was the one that got them all in the right place at the right time as the point guard. But those girls that like Breon just finally clicked, early in February that, okay, I can, score. I can do these things on offense. I'm not, just there to rebound. And so that just opened up a lot of things for us. And you talked about the 2 overtime games that we had with Brentwood earlier. We were just so familiar with each other. But that, the championship game, I think a lot of it was due, and the credit was due to Breon and Sienna feeling very comfortable offensively. And that just made our team way better, just way better. You couldn't guard everybody. And in middle school, you normally have 1, 2. If you're luxury, you have 3 players that can score. But when you have 5 that feel comfortable, it's a no-brainer.
Coach Peterson, on the boys' side, all county players, Finland Paavola, Lucas Young, Sam Mewborn, Jack Flynn. Talk about those young men and what they've meant to your program.
Yeah, similar to Coach Breece, those kids can all put the ball in the basket. If somebody's not having a great night, usually the others of those 4, and even Corey Horde and the first 3 off the bench, Walker Wells, Thompson King, and Ace Anderson. We kind of had an 8-headed monster. Paul was talking about 1 or 2, 5. We had 8, and even those last 3 guys. I think it was the Page. It was either Spring Station or Page. One of the 2 first games we had. We had a couple of kids with early foul trouble, they had to sit the majority of the game. And without Thompson, King, Walker Wells, and Ace Anderson coming in there, we wouldn't have been playing in the semifinal game, let alone the championship game. So we were very fortunate to have 8 deep, and really all 13 players. There was very little difference between, the kid that didn't get hardly any playing time and the one that got the most minutes this year, it's a huge blessing.
Let's talk championship game a little bit. Girls down 6-5, I believe it was, at the end of the first quarter. But then, Coach Breece, I thought the thing that really stood out to me, I had the opportunity to replace you as color analyst on the WCTV broadcast. And I won't tell you that Michael Williams said it was a lot smoother. He felt like he was dealing with a guy that was more professional, but I didn't really want to bring that up, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. But Coach, your defense really was the different. The half court trapping, you guys, to me, looked a lot more comfortable offensively than Brentwood did all night. You guys obviously had a couple of players that you were focused on, and you mentioned Sienna Elder. Did a great job in the back of that defense, stealing some passes in the full court. But talk about that defensive pressure that you had on that particular night.
Well, as you probably would understand, you could kind of get away with some more gimmick defenses in middle school girls because they can't make certain passes effectively. And so I've learned that along the way, whether it's kind of the 1-3-1 3-quarter court or the 2-3 extended. But you talked about the back end of that. Sienna Elder, as you know, sometimes the rotation doesn't always go your way on those kind of defenses, but she was always in the right spot to prevent that backside layup. But we knew them so well, and they knew us so well. It was just we knew it was going to be a blue collar type dogfight defensively. And going back and watching the tremendous live stream broadcast that you guys provided, we created like 24, 25 turnovers. Unfortunately, those turnovers normally are converted into some transition easy baskets, and we couldn't get out on them and to do that. So that's why the game was the way it was. Luckily, they only scored 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion, and we had a couple extra scores there. But we knew it was going to be a dogfight, and whoever could, obviously score the most at the end was going to win. But it was just a matter of our defense was really just showed up, and that was exciting to see because we really work hard on those presses every day.
Coach Peterson, I think I heard Coach Breece say a 1-3-1 defense was gimmicky. Did I hear that earlier?
Well, I'll say this. I said 1-3-1 3-quarter court. Now I was not half court, but I don't know who the co-founder of the 1-3-1 half court is, but it's a great defense.
Coach Breece, Ella Ryan, your leading scorer during the year, averaging over 20 points a game. But to me, what stood out for you offensively and really got you going was some of those deep range bombs from Ella DeYoung.
Yeah, Ella DeYoung obviously could score at will as well. She is more of a slasher type. She sees a small opening in the lane and she can drive it in, and she does take advantage of that. But she also is, a tremendous shooter, and she did hit a couple. Obviously, we had hit a big basket with a Corinna Beard that came off the bench and banked the 3 in, as you would say. But you know what? In girls basketball, you take it any way you can. And that actually kind of took a big breath of an ease off of our kids once Corinna hit that 3, because it was just kind of a stalemate like you talked about at the beginning. So, but yes, Ella DeYoung is definitely an offensive threat. And like I said earlier, you can't guard them all. And luckily we've got kids that can score.
Coach Peterson, 48-32 championship game victory over Sunset. You played earlier in the year, and that game was 36-33. Sunset, a team that's known for their three-point shooting, in that first meeting, they go 3 for 25. And again, they struggle from the three-point line in the championship game. It was well into the second half before they hit their first 3. Was that a conscious effort by your team to try to limit that 3-point shooting?
I didn't really stress it. But, we try to work on, a certain defensive sort of mindset. And I think it was just that sort of, effort that led to maybe they just had 2 off nights. I don't know. But I went to the Sunset, semifinal game against Thompson Station, and man, it was bottoms. They were draining it. And I don't know if I don't pay as much attention as you do, Coach Joins, to the specifics of each game. Maybe there was a gap between, the defensive guy and those 2 kids that were draining those 3-pointers. And there might not have been that same gap. So maybe they felt there was less time to get off the shot. I did notice that some of those shots were hurried. And I didn't know if they necessarily had to hurry. I'm just glad that they did and that they didn't go in. But no, our kids play really good on-ball defense, and they do a real good job helping each other out, more of like a team man-to-man concept.
No, it was obvious in watching. I think that's well said. You certainly did a good job of that. I think when they were open, and I noticed this in the girls' game too, that when they were open, maybe they hurried shots, but I think that's because it was so hard to get open. So obviously, from my seat, it seemed like your defense had a lot to do with it. And the other thing I noticed about your team that night too, Coach Peterson, I know you were proud of this, very patient and very unselfish.
Yeah, these kids just, I think they truly don't care who scores. I mean, I remember asking them, hey, you guys even want to look at the book? Two players said, no. I'm like, that's fantastic. Because I sort of was wondering when somebody's going to ask me, how many assists I got or whatever it is. It's just natural. And they kind of looked at me like I had 4 eyes, like, what are you talking about? No, we won. I'm like, okay, that's great. That is great. And they were unselfish almost to a fault. I was telling somebody earlier, it's like after about the 8th or 10th pass, even I'm sitting over there on the bench, just shoot the ball, kid, just shoot the ball. But no, they'd wear it out. They would continue to pass until something broke down and some kid got to the basket, or it was an obvious opportunity to make an unguarded, uncontested 3-pointer or jumper. So they did a fantastic job with that.
And Coach, Sunset head coach Ted Quinn, you two are good friends and know you work some through the STARS program. That had to, now you can admit it, it's only us talking here. Nobody's going to see this, right? Just the 3 of us are a private conversation. It had to make it sweeter to get that win over your good friend, Coach Ted Quinn.
It is something that I'll tease him about going forward, but I won't tease him too much because, I'll be on the receiving end of that, in 2 or 3 years probably. But Ted's a good man. He's a good coach. I like the way he coaches also. He's, I think he has a good relationship with his players. And he's, not too heavy-handed at all or tries not to be. I've never seen it. And it's coaches like that I admire and try to emulate, when I'm communicating with my kids.
Well, and the 2 of you have those same qualities. It's obvious when, you watch your teams, they feel comfortable not only with each other, but certainly the coaches too. And sitting where I'm at, I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Coaches, I appreciate you being here today. Our time has run out on this discussion of the WMAA basketball champions. Grassland reigns supreme on the boys and girls side. Thank you guys for being here.
Darrin, thank you for letting us come on the #1 rated show in Williamson County. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Coach Breece.
Coach Breece, I appreciate you saying that. We're well over 500 episodes now, so I told Mr. Producer Creed, we are like the Simpsons of WCTV. We are the longest, I don't know if it's the longest, but we are a very long-running program. Obviously got started off by the great Coach Ralph Ringstaff. Jack Daniels jumped in there. Jeremy Qualls sort of perfected it. And listen, I'm just trying to keep this thing between the ditches.
There you go. You're doing a fantastic job.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate our audience being here. We'll see you next time on the Coach's Show.